tortured torso. What are his pros and cons? Is he worth that price tag? And at the end of the day, what would I give him on a scale from 1 to 10? I will be letting you guys know all of that and more in today's review video of Tortured Torso from Spirit Halloween. Alright guys, so before I get into today's video, I do first just want to shout out my Instagram at htj_Halloween. If you guys want to see behind the scenes stuff and get a little bit more up to date on what my upload schedule is going to look like, what props you're going to be seeing on the channel, then definitely go ahead and check that out because I do post a lot more consistently over there and you can get a lot more content from me. So link will be down in the description. But today I'm talking about the Tortured Torso. Now you guys know that this guy isn't my absolute favorite. If you did watch my top 10 video, he was at number 10. Now obviously I do like all 10 on the number 10 this year. I've said that many times. And there really is few that I say I wouldn't like. So I mean I still do like this guy, but you guys know he's just not my absolute favorite. So just jumping right in, I do have my sheet of paper once again to keep myself organized and a little bit more quick. The pros, one of the pros is that the movement, if the springs are not inhibited. So if you have the springs with this little fabric piece right here, you have to be careful because the springs are right underneath of the fabric piece. If I expose it, I can't really expose it, but they're right under here. There is one. That's kind of why they have this fabric piece, but ooh, looks like he's moving around. If you have this piece of cloth up against the hook and then you hook it on, you have this cloth being snagged onto whatever you're hanging him on, then the movement will only look like his head is moving around. And I think that I've seen him many times where I only see the head movement and at stores and stuff, and I think, oh, that wasn't as good as I expected, but I bought him still, and then after using him in person, I realized, hold on a second, something's not working there because those springs are supposed to be moving him up and down. I got the cloth out of the way, and he actually does. The head like makes his arms shake up and down, and then the motion's really crazy. So I would actually say as long as you don't have those springs snagged on something, and as long as they're uninhibited, then it actually does have pretty good motion, and that would be a pro. Also, his audio is a pro. I mean, it's not anything like amazing, but I mean, the zombie growls and everything I'm pretty sure are original, and they're definitely very fitting, so that would be a plus. He also just has the constant motion option, which is pretty great because you can just have him like inside your haunted house or hanging from a tree, and from a distance, you're just gonna see him constantly moving around and thrashing around. I really, really like that props have that option. I do that with Zombie Swing Girl. She has the option to be constant, so he's not actually the first constant motion prop that we've seen. However, I definitely like the idea, and I'm glad that it's on him because, you know, sometimes it's kind of a pain to have to activate it with the sensor or with the step pad, and it takes away the realisticness from it. So him just being constant is definitely a plus. Although, he only can be off or constant, so if you're worried that he's going to break because of that, and I couldn't say how durable he is. I mean, some seem to be broken stores, but mine so far has been fine. But anyways, you know, maybe if constant motion seems like something you don't want to have him on and you think that might break him, then I guess that would be a little bit of a downside because it only has an off and an on for the switch. But I definitely like the constant motion. I also like the detail in the hands in particular. He has really, really decrepit, decaying hands that are some of the most realistic things I've ever seen. And like I said in the unboxing, they're so frail and brittle that it looks like I could just snap them, which is definitely the look they were going for. So those hands are really, really cool. Now, onto the something that's kind of like in between the pros and the cons that I couldn't really place as one or the other. The face detail. I mean, I really do like the detail in the face in general. He's missing his nose. He's like half skull, half normal head. So it kind of just looks like this decaying person. The eye detail is good. I mean, they have like the paper inside that gives it the little iris and the pupil, and he has kind of like brown eyes with a little bit of yellow in the center there. So the eyes definitely look cool. They look kind of zombifying. Wish they might have, you know, lit up. That's another con. But I know some of you, though, don't like the light-up eyes, so I guess that kind of depends on your preference. And I like the teeth, how they're kind of breaking apart and everything. That's all great. But the mouth, well, the mouth in general is good, but this mustache above the mouth kind of looks a bit funky because I've said many times, it's like cut perfectly straight, and it doesn't really make any sense because he's supposed to just be like hanging there, so it looks a bit weird. Although I guess I wouldn't have really liked it if it like had covered up, you know, more of his mouth. So I don't really know how they could have improved it, but I do think his face at times looks a bit goofy. The beard is like okay. You know, I don't really know how I feel about it, but I think as a whole, the face is probably leaning more towards a pro. I mean, the face is pretty cool. Just something about that mustache that kind of does look a little bit strange. The cons are that the clothing is very plain. The clothing is all one color. It's just this grayish green color. I don't know if I'm just seeing things, but I kind of do see a bit of green in it. But it's really, really plain. Even the blood detailing is kind of boring. You know, I would have liked if there was like splatters all over him, looking like he got sawed in half. So that is kind of a downside. And the other thing is that the ropes are covered by fabric that is the same color as the clothing. So, ooh, he keeps turning around. But, you know, that does kind of take away from like the look of him being hung by ropes, because it just looks like the sleeves of his shirt continue up the rope, and it looks really strange. They actually do have rope underneath of these, but they have to have it there because of the spring. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like they should have at least made that fabric brown, or somehow just had the springs covered up by brown fabric and exposed the actual ropes, because something about the look of that fabric was a little bit unfinished, in my opinion. Also, there are no lights. So he doesn't have light up eyes. I already said that, but that's under my con list. And obviously, again, it is kind of up to preference. If you like light up eyes, I personally do, and he doesn't have them. And I guess it's a bit subjective, but he's just a bit boring. There's no wow factor with him. And there's been props in the past that have had this, you know, torso design that have done it better. I mean, he's definitely hasn't done this design better than anything we've seen in the past, because they did have that one that had like a saw going through him. I think they had one that had like a rat hanging out of its stomach. They've had some really unique, crazy ones way back in the day. I mean, they haven't done a torso hanging prop in a while. Or no, they also had electrified corpse. And so all those ones I feel like did the torso, even that like hung up zombie, they all kind of did the torso design a little bit more better and a little bit more unique, and had something different about them than this guy. This guy just looks like your very basic, what would a prop look like if we did a torso decaying hanging from ropes that moves around. That's what this looks like. It looks like you didn't think of anything unique. And again, even the blood design is kind of boring. You know, it just looks like a shirt hanging there. So overall, there just isn't really much of a wow factor to him. It's not the most unique, and it's not the best done of its kind. He is $130, $129.99, and I would say that he is not worth the price. However, he is the most affordable, so if you're just taking into account the raw number and you're on a very tight budget, then this guy definitely fits the bill for that. But as far as looking at the price to what you're getting, $130 for this thing. I mean, there really is only one animation going on for him. The springs was a nice touch, but they're not really a mechanism. And so for just what he is, and just basically a shirt hanging with a head that moves, I would have seen him being at $100. Then I would have said it's more on the worth it side, but for $130, I wouldn't say the price equates to what you're getting. But again, he is the most affordable, so from just raw numbers, I mean, it is still pretty cheap. But, you know, one thing to kind of bring up my point a little bit is that for only $30 more, I know that could be a lot for some of you, but for only $30 more, you could get Betty. And Betty is my #1 favorite prop of this year, has insane amounts of unique new animation, and is absolutely terrifying, creepy, awesome design detail. So when I look at that, it's like, wow. I mean, if you just kind of tried to work to get a little bit more onto your budget, then you could get Betty instead of this guy, and I feel like the comparison isn't even close. So that kind of is what makes me feel like $130 is not the most worth it. So as a whole, I would give the Tortured Torso a 5.5 out of 10. It's not, you know, the absolute worst thing we've seen, but it's definitely one of the lesser worst props for this year. I mean, if you really, really like him, then let me know down in the comments below. Definitely argue with me. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I still bought him, so I don't even know why I'm talking, but I mean, I don't think that he's like really, really bad. He's just average. That's why I have him at like 5.5, kind of smack dab in the middle. I do think that he's going to be really awesome in the place that I have him. I'll obviously have to add a light to him. But yeah, he's just kind of a little meh prop that I'm glad they had for this year. They haven't done a torso thing in a while, but 5.5, that's where I would give him. So yeah, definitely let me know what you think in the comment section below of the Tortured Torso. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and definitely stay tuned and subscribe, because we are coming up on the month of October, and there is a ton of videos that are going to be released. So just wait, there are tons more props to come, and I can't wait for you guys to see all of that. There'll be a link, like I said at the beginning of the video, to my Instagram Instagram down in the description, as well as a link to Spirit Halloween's website where you can pick up the Tortured Torso or anything else that you want for the Halloween season. And of course, if you shop on that link, you'll be helping out me and the channel, and there will also be a 20% off discount promo code to help you make those prices a little bit less scary. And lastly, there will be a link to the HTJ Halloween merch shop if you want to get any HTJ apparel and designs. Alright guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.